Hey, it's Rex on the road, and it's our Sonoma County Wine of the Week, Maritana Vineyards.
That's right.
Did I get it right?
You did.
And we are talking with Donald Patz. He's hanging out with a cup of coffee with us this morning. And how are you doing? I caught you mid-sip.
Yeah, you did. I'm doing great.
Good.
We're concluding our Russian River Chardonnay and Pinot program harvest for 2024.
Right.
I've got almost all of it in. I got one more pick next Tuesday, and then we're done for 2024.
Wow, already? Huh?
Yeah. Well, it's not that early. I mean, if you think about it, Chardonnay and Pinot are both relatively early ripening grape varieties, and we've had a fairly warm season. Not blisteringly hot like 2022, but warm enough so that it's pushed things along. And so, yeah, I'm really happy with the quality. I'm also an early picker.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So the Chardonnay in particular, I'm looking for at a little bit lower sugar bricks because I think ultimately Chardonnay in particular from Russian River is best expressed in a little bit less alcoholic style and more about perfume, and especially the thing that I think is really unique about Russian River Chardonnay, this sort of floral character, which is really hard to get in California. That really exotic, super tropical fruit character, you can get almost anywhere.
Right.
You can grow it pretty much anywhere, and you get that ultra ripe character. But Russian River has this benefit of being able to produce, I think, wines that are a little more delicate and perfumey and pretty and refreshing, and that's what I'm looking for.
And I hear some people when they talk about Russian River Valley kind of saying it has an earthy quality.
I think that's really true on Pinot, but it really depends on who's making it and where the grapes are coming from.
Okay.
And that's kind of the whole point of wine, isn't it? Is that it has a distinctive character of place.
Right, and I think that's what you want, right? You want this wine to taste like it was from here, or you want a wine that tastes like it's from there. And are you getting ready for the Sonoma County Wine Celebration?
We are, and we have a really interesting auction lot. I think is really the most amazing one I've ever been able to put together, and I think it's going to get some real fun attention. Right.
Well, tell us about what you guys are doing with your lot. It's a little different than some of the other lots that are available for auction, right?
Well, there is wine involved.
Oh,
so
good.
We have that going for us. But yes, so a dear friend of mine told me that her uncle was getting ready to do his bolognese sauce, or actually just a red sauce, that he was going to be producing it and distributing it. And I said, well, who's your uncle? Well, it's my Uncle Harry.
Okay.
Who's your? Well, that's great, because I guess a lot of people have Uncle Harrys.
Sure.
Oh, it's Harry Hamlin. Who was like the sexiest man alive in the 80s, right?
L.A. Law, right?
Yeah,
he was on L.A. Law.
Well, we probably remember from the Clash of the Titans movie.
Going back there. Yeah,
there and Ursula Andress and all of that. And when we were in high school, we were probably like, oh my God. So yeah. Harry is a super nice guy, and I got a chance to meet him for the first time, and we tasted through a series of Pinot Noirs that I made from 2023. And predictably, I could have done this blend myself because I knew exactly what his preferences were. But we did a blend together, and he chose the final blend, and so we're going to have 60 bottles of this blend. But that's just this, the cherry on top. The real auction lot revolves around Harry Hamlin, famous actor, comes to your house and cooks his famous bolognese dinner for you and friends. So up to 8 other guests. Harry is going to be there. His niece, who's a famous chef in her own right, Renee, is going to be there. My wife and I will be there if you want us there. Maybe you don't want us there, but we'd like to come too.
Sure.
And I'm going to put in wines from my personal cellar that will go with the dinner, and it's going to be incredible. I mean, really, I can't even imagine an opportunity to have somebody like Harry Hamlin come to your house and hang out for an evening and tell you stories about all the different things he's done.
And then his niece is a chef, and so you get kind of the family.
Well, they've done this whole TV show on cooking, and it's a really fun show, and if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. But No, she's a delight, and I've known her for quite a while. We did a couple of special charity events together back.
Right. Well, I mean, this is going to be a great event. Sonoma County Wine Celebration happens September 19th through 21st.
Yep.
And how excited are you about kind of the celebration has been reimagined this year? It's a little different. How are you feeling
Well, we
about
haven't
that?
experienced it yet, have we?
No.
But I like the idea behind it. I've seen the different events coming up. I'm personally going to participate in all three of the days.
Oh, wow.
Harry doesn't look like he can make it except for the auction, and we're hopeful he can be there too. But
Sure.
some of these guys, their schedules just get so crazy; it's difficult to. But I believe right now that he'll be there for the auction, and so that'll be fun. And at the very least, get a chance to meet him. Right.
We're talking to Donald Patz, and of course, the name sounds familiar, Patz and Hall, which you founded many years ago, right?
1988 was our first Patz and Hall vintage, and I did it until 2016. We sold the company, and a year later, I was released from my non-compete to start over again. So 2017 is when Maritana. Let's take a look at what that Maritana thing looks like.
There we go. Yeah.
There it is. Maritana Vineyards. We do Chardonnay and Pinot Noir from Russian River, exclusively Russian River.
Oh, wow. And Pinot, I mean, there's something I think Sonoma County does when it comes to Pinot that's different than any place else. What do you feel the benefits of Sonoma County are for Pinot?
Well, I think the interesting thing about Sonoma County is the diversity. I mean, we really talk a lot about if you're interested in European wines, French wines. They talk about the soil all the time. Well, it turns out there's more different kinds of soils in Sonoma County than there is in the entire country of France.
Wow, really? Wow.
And lots of different microclimates. So there are spots, even in the Russian River, that are absolutely suited for things like late ripening, really need a lot of heat, things like Zinfandel and Petit Syrah. Right. And there's also very cool spots where Chardonnay and Pinot Noir thrive, and I think that that's the most exciting thing about Sonoma generally, is the diversity of space and also soils. And then, of course, you layer over that how good the growers are. They've had more than a generation of time to figure out what it is that creates great wines from there. So it's an established area that really has a reputation, and it deserves a reputation for producing the highest quality fruit.
And then Pinot grapes, how long have they been grown in Sonoma County? When did that kind of... Oh, really? It has
forever
been.
and ever.
Okay.
Yeah, it just hasn't been that great.
Oh, okay.
And I think that, and I guess I was sort of thinking about this more in terms of the Napa side of it, but I think the biggest drawback to the creation of really great Pinot there's several things that happened early on. They were planted in warmer sites, so probably were better for Zinfandel. The whole idea of how to make Pinot Noir has evolved over time. It's really quite different from making a lot of other red wines. If you just do the sort of Zinfandel or Cabernet program to Pinot Noir, it doesn't taste much like Pinot Noir. It just sort of tastes like any old red wine.
Gotcha.
And so you have to kind of adopt a different style of winemaking in order to do the best kinds of Pinots. But I think there's been a revolution since like the mid 80s.
Okay.
Where better plantings, better clonal selections, and a more serious effort to try to create something unique has all come together. And I think it's one of a handful of the greatest places in the world to grow Pinot.
Now, you've been growing grapes for 40 years, been making wine for 40 years.
40 years and 40 nights.
Okay. I'm hey, sounds like a great song. It really does. What have you seen change in winemaking, say, from when you started to kind of where we are now? Do you see anything?
That's a great question, because I'm actually I'm sending out questionnaires and interviewing other winemakers, because I'd like to put this down, because I don't think that a lot of the younger winemakers really realize how different winemaking was in the late 70s versus today. And so it's kind of like everything's different. The climate, of course, has shifted a little bit, but rootstocks are different. We almost exclusively used AXR1. Now we use a whole bevy of different rootstocks designed specific for certain sites. And then better clonal selections. But that's just the beginning. That's just the growing side of it. And willingness, and first of all, the wines are expensive enough now, so you can justify doing some stuff in the vineyard that you might not have done.
Sure.
Back in the 60s and 70s because it was all about how much crop can I get, and
Sure.
that doesn't work well with Pinot. You need to have a modest crop out there in order to get the flavor development. And then I think there's several winemaking things that have changed. I mean, I don't think anybody in the 70s used whole cluster, for example, for Pinot. And it's quite common now to use whole clusters in the fermentation process, which to me brings out that perfumey Pinot character. And I frequently talk about Pinot perfume because I think at its best, Pinot really is almost like a perfume. It's got this, it's not going to be super dark, it's not going to be super tannic, but it has this amazing aroma character that is just indescribable. And when you get it, it's like magic.
So do you have as a winemaker, do you have a favorite varietal? Is Pinot your favorite, or it's too hard because you love them all?
I do love them all, but, you know, my wife actually likes Cabernet Sauvignon better.
Okay.
So I like Cabernet Sauvignon too. But you know, Pinot, if I had to only drink one red wine for the rest of my life, it probably would be Pinot.
Okay. All right. We're talking to Donald Patz and having a great time here talking about the Sonoma County Wine Celebration. And I want to turn it back to Maritana Vineyards real quickly. And do you offer in-person or virtual tastings? And how can folks get involved in tasting your wines?
We have the ability to do tastings at where the wine is made, actually in Windsor at Grand Cru Custom Crush. They have a whole series of little tasting rooms there. And when I'm available, I will do them. If not, then there's staff that can do them.
Sure.
So you can taste there. But I think the best way to be involved with us is to get on our website and to sign up for the email.
Okay.
And then hopefully Wine Club.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah.
The best way to get the rarest wines, especially.
Okay. And that kind of goes into the next question is, how do we purchase Maritana Vineyards?
It's probable that you'll find it at a retail store. It's not impossible to do that, but it's rare. So ideally, the website is the best place to go. So MaritanaVineyards.com, or you can do my bigger one, which is it's DonaldPatzWineGroup.com.
Okay.
And if you want to email me, it's Donald@DonaldPatzWineGroup.com.
All right.
And I'm happy to answer email questions.
All right. There you go. And what do you feel makes Sonoma County so special when it comes to all the wines that are produced here in the county?
Well, I think we touched on it. I mean, I think the diversity is really what makes it such a special place. I mean, if you think about Napa, for example, you immediately think about Cabernet. If you think about other parts of California, you immediately think about like Zinfandel up in the Sierra foothills. But in Sonoma, there are amazing wines made from all different kinds of grapes, including Cabernet and Zinfandel, but also in particular Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, I think. And it's for me, that's what makes Sonoma so special.
All right, the Sonoma County Wine Celebration. You got to get your tickets. SonomaWine.com. You can get all the details about Sonoma County Wine Celebration at SonomaWine.com, right? It's right there for you. See, that wasn't too hard to get at.
No, it wasn't. We're going to have a good time there, too. So you really want to be at this party. It's a crazy time.